4 out of 5 employees say feeling fulfilled at work makes them feel more fulfilled at home. And this is according to the 2024 RICO North American Workplace Fulfillment Gap Index. But what about when you don't love your job? Are you doomed to live a boring life unless you actually take the leap and quit? And what about this tumultuous job market, especially in the tech industry? Is quitting really a good idea right now? Good news. In this video, you'll learn why you don't actually have to quit your job and how a boring 9 to 5 can actually give you the space you need to feel more fulfilled in all areas of your life, not less. And I'll teach you how you can get started with your own fulfilling project. Let's get into it. Most people make the mistake of assuming that their job is supposed to give them a sense of fulfillment, but they have it backwards. And when their job becomes boring and upward mobility becomes difficult and a volatile job market makes leaving the system seem like a bad idea, they wind up stuck and frustrated. Maybe you're here now. Here's the secret that no one told you. This exact moment is when you want to leverage, so that you can actually become more fulfilled, not less. Let me show you what I mean. When I was 5 years into working as an email marketer at a tech startup, I had lost my initial excitement for the role, and office politics plus a tight team budget made my work pretty stressful. I kept pushing and working hard, meeting deadlines, doing my projects. I even tried advocating for more budget to hire more team members, but I ended most days with a migraine and face planting on the couch. Over time, I started to develop feelings like chronic pain and gut issues, and then I just couldn't take it anymore. I had to change something. And that's when I started my own path of healing. But I did that without quitting my job. I spent my free time seeing specialists, working with doctors, studying things like alternative medicine, and I even started practicing yoga and meditation for the first time on a regular basis. Here's what I didn't know at the time. I had just started the passion project that would eventually lead me to a greater sense of fulfillment and purpose, both at work and at home. Now, most people say that you have to quit your job to pivot your life to feel more fulfilled, but that's actually the worst advice that I've heard. And here's why. When you quit your job without a backup plan or a safety net or savings in the bank, it starts a ticking clock for burnout, which is really the opposite reason of why you would want to quit anyway, right? And that's just because your nervous system doesn't like change. Change is scary, right? Even if your mind thinks that it's the good kind of change. On the level of your nervous system, change is outside of your comfort zone. And a big change like turning off the flow of income or changing your whole work identity or facing down the blooming question of what's next without a plan or support is the recipe for feeling more stressed and overwhelmed, not less. So here's what to do instead. Spark excitement elsewhere while still doing all that's necessary for your job at work. This might surprise you. So back to my story. When I started meditating and practicing yoga regularly for the first time, something magical started to happen. I was practicing yoga mainly because I was having all of these pains in my body and I knew that it was good for me and I needed to change something. But there was this little meditation at the end of class, right? This little meditation at the end of the YouTube video. And in that moment, my mind started to clear. And I started to feel this slightly unfamiliar feeling of possibility. And my body, of course, started to feel more at ease and stronger as well. But more importantly, that moment of possibility was happening because I had something that was totally mine outside of work to look forward to. And so I began to go deeper into my self-discovery into my practice. I started reading books about meditation. I started listening to all of the different guided meditations on various apps and things like that. I started getting into different types of yoga. I even dipped my toes into spiritual methodologies like astrology and card reading. And then when I least expected it, I found myself I found myself sitting in a conference room at work one day, and I was leading this book club event for a women's group. And I ended up writing down a secret dream that I didn't know I had until that very moment. I wanted to become a yoga teacher. Imagine my surprise. Okay, so at this point, you're probably wondering the same question that I've helped so many 9 to 5ers with, and that's okay, but how do I know what I want to do? And what would help me feel more fulfilled, right? What would help actually you feel more fulfilled? Like yoga was the thing for me at the time, but what is it for you? Most people make the mistake that they need to have this crystal clear clarity on the thing or their purpose before they take any action on it. But that's actually going to just leave you more stuck, right? Back to square one. Because the truth is that clarity comes from taking action. And you only need just enough clarity to get started. But I also recognize that that's way easier said than done. And that's why I put together a free resource for you called the Clarity Compass Journal. Inside, you'll find a fun, playful quiz, because why not, to identify your intuitive style, 24 tailored prompts to help you actually get clear, just enough clear, on how to move forward based on where you're at in this process, as well as a downloadable meditation so you can connect with your most fulfilled self. Yeah. And you can snag it for free in the description below, or you can just comment the word clarity and I'll link it for you. So that same night after I wrote down my secret dream of becoming a yoga teacher at work, I got a newsletter in my inbox from a local studio announcing their yoga teacher training. And because I had learned to work with my intuition, I knew that it was a sign that I had to sign up. What happened next may surprise you because most people assume that starting a passion project or even a side hustle makes you less productive and less effective at your day job, or even more stressed because you now have all of these other commitments and interests to navigate. But I've actually seen the opposite happen, both in my own personal experience and with my clients at Google and YouTube, Microsoft, Meta, and more. You see, after I completed my yoga teacher training, I knew that I had found the first expression of my true purpose. But I didn't quit my job. Instead, I started teaching evening yoga classes at the company where I worked, right in the middle of the open meeting space, like right next to the lunch tables. I would walk around literally with this exact singing bowl, calling my colleagues to the mat, making them excited to join me for a little stress relief. And because they saw the changes in me at work, they were excited to try it out too. Now, the cool thing is that this class ended up being such a hit that my company paid me for 5 years to teach yoga twice a month. And they eventually, at one point, even asked me to host an offsite for our VIP customers when they came into town. It was such a blast. But that's not all. Because I had rekindled my life force energy by doing something that I absolutely loved and felt like it was fulfilling and gave me a positive impact on the world, I began to show up differently at work too. Even my manager commented on it. She was like, Emily, you seem just so much happier and like you're getting all of this stuff done and you're really focused on your priorities. Right. And so actually, teaching yoga helped me level up in my role. I actually got promoted after I started teaching. So it's really about, even if you start a passion project and you think, oh, it's going to detract from my job, it's actually going to make you even better. And it also deepened my personal relationships because now I had something to talk about, right? I had something that I cared about instead of just the same old, oh, how was your day? What did you do at work? Now, while 4 years later, I did end up quitting my job because I wanted to take my coaching business, which was the second iteration of my yoga teaching business, full time. And I look back now and I see how starting that yoga teaching experiment as a passion project while working full time actually helped me be more fulfilled and feel supported and regulated and calm in my nervous system without having to take a scary leap before I was ready. Now, I'm going to guess that while all this sounds good to you, you may be stuck on how you can actually start the passion project or the side hustle while still juggling all of your responsibilities at work and at home. Maybe you have some kiddos, right? And so that's why I made my next video all about it. Go ahead and click to watch it, and I'll see you there. And since you're here in this longer form, you don't even have to click. We just get to go along for the ride. So, when I first started my soulful side hustle of teaching yoga and coaching in 2018, every business coach and entrepreneur, literally everyone that I came across, told me that if I really wanted to achieve my goals, I should quit my job and hustle hard. And unfortunately, everywhere I looked, I saw stories of overnight successes of people who had done exactly that, saying they gained the time, the energy, and the focus that they needed to get their big goals done. But I'm so glad that I didn't listen. After all, I'm a little bit of a rebel. And now I have a more energy rich, time free, and fulfilling life than I could have ever imagined. Take a sip of water. I even took off the entire month of July this year so I could work on my romantasy novel, my romantic fantasy novel, in the woods. And that's my current passion project. So, in this video, I'll share the 3 steps that I did instead of just following the rules so you too can actually achieve your goals and feel more fulfilled without quitting your 9 to 5, pissing off your loved ones, or sacrificing your well being. Let's get into it. The first mistake I see people make is to set smart or big, hairy, audacious goals and then make a plan from there. But the problem is that smart goals and BHAGs are more often leading to burnout and overwhelm and disappointment than clarity. Because the reality is that when you have a lot of different responsibilities, like I know you do, dreaming big and scary and making a plan to get there can actually activate a stress response. And so does quitting your job, which is why I don't recommend it yet, anyway. So, when you're stressed, you don't have access to your beautiful, creative, executive functioning skills. And so you can make decisions and so as a result, you make decisions rooted in survival, not thriving. Survival, like saying yes to that extra project that you don't really want to do, but you feel social pressure to do when you really rather go home and work on your passion project or spend time with loved ones. That kind of survival. And those big dreams that you have of living your most fulfilling life, you can bet they are the opposite of survival oriented thinking, right? And so as a result, your goals are more likely to overwhelm and paralyze you than spur you into action. It's like how, even though my client Hannah in the Compass Club, my membership program, really wanted to become a yoga teacher, she was too overwhelmed and nervous at the idea of reaching out to studios to start teaching classes and taking action on that dream. So, the first step for you to actually start achieving your goals and is to really just get enough clarity. So, enough clarity on what you really want. You don't need the whole picture, the whole giant North Star vision, your 5 year plan, none of that. Just enough clarity. And hopefully that feels a little bit like a whew, we dodged that. Now, I love working with my intuition and human design to get just enough clarity so that I can actually move forward with working on my goals. And that's because these two modalities are not about looking outside yourself or giving your power away to someone else who you think has the answers, but rather about understanding yourself and how you work better. So, if you don't know, human design is a magical spiritual system that brings together the ancient wisdom of astrology, the I Ching, the chakra system, and Kabbalah to help you better understand yourself, your purpose, and how to actually move through the world with more ease. And when I'm talking about intuition, I mean that inner wisdom inside of you that receives insights, those little nudges that then lead you to that opportunity you didn't know that you wanted, or you run into that person who has just the invite for you, and that intuition that helps you make aligned decisions that actually get you to where you want to go. It's kind of like your hidden superpower. It takes out the guesswork of moving through life, but the key is you have to know how to access it, right? So, if you want to explore what it's like to work with your intuition to get just enough clarity to move forward, I have a free resource for you that's called the Clarity Compass Journal. It's where you'll take a fun, playful quiz to get to know your intuitive style. My dog's really excited about it too. And you'll learn an experiment and 2 rituals to help you unlock your intuition, as well as 24 tailored prompts to help you get just enough clarity to move forward and achieve your goals. Comment below with clarity and I'll send it to you, or you can just click the link in the description. So, when my client Hannah connected with her intuition, she realized that the real reason why she wasn't going out and pitching studios was because she lacked the confidence as a new teacher. And she realized what she really needed, instead of immediately going into visibility strategies and like start teaching full time, she needed to practice her skill set as a teacher in a safe environment, right? Low stakes. And so she had this idea come through because, again, she was connected with her intuition. Oh, I have this personal trainer friend. Why don't I offer to teach stretches at the end of her class? Amazing. So, after you have enough clarity to move forward and take action on your goals, the next step to achieving them is to build capacity to actually take the action. So, the key is you want to build capacity so you can take action. You have just enough clarity and then you have to have the capacity, right? So, remember that stress response reaction to change that I mentioned earlier? So, if you don't create capacity to take action, your just enough clarity winds up sitting on your mental shelf. It's just a nice idea for another time, right? It's like when we set a New Year's resolution or a goal for the next year. Been there. Now, because you do have a job and loved ones to see, and dishes to wash, and laundry to fold, and all sorts of other tasks on your plate that are calling for your attention, the key to success for you is to build capacity in 2 specific areas: your energy and your time. So, here's how to do it. The amount of energy you have is directly related to how relaxed your nervous system is. Let me repeat that. The amount of energy you have is directly related to how relaxed your nervous system is. So, if you want to have more energy to work on your goals, or start a side hustle, or create a passion project, right, without quitting your job, I recommend that you start a daily practice, even just 3 minutes or less, to calm your nervous system regularly. So I talk about this in other videos, as well as in my membership, the Compass Club. But the key is to do this calming practice both proactively, meaning like every morning or evening on a regular basis, and reactively, like whenever you start to feel stressed or overwhelmed. The reason for this is your practice helps you boost your energy by communicating safety to your nervous system in spite of you stepping outside of your comfort zone. So when you practice it proactively, you're putting in the reps and doing the training so that you actually remember to then use the practice when you're stressed. And over time, doing this reset with your nervous system when you're stepping outside of your comfort zone will actually help you expand your capacity to navigate stress. Your stress resilience is another way to talk about that. And over time, you'll be able to take bigger actions, bolder actions towards your goals without being stressed, without being overwhelmed, and without collapsing. Hello, achieving your goals without burnout, right? That's the secret sauce. So, my client Hannah took this approach every time she taught stretches at the end of her friend's class. And over time, her confidence grew, maybe making her think, maybe I could actually teach my own full class. Planted the seed for her. Now, here's the secret about expanding your time capacity. Your time and your energy are linked. They're like besties, meaning the more energy capacity that you build, the better decisions you make about how you're spending your time, which then increases the amount of time that you have because you're prioritizing it effectively. And so you can work on your goals. Win win. I will mention too that I find it incredibly illuminating to actually track my time and energy. So if you never do this, highly recommend. And specifically look for what types of activities drain you and what types of activities boost your energy. Because when we become aware of patterns, then we can actually make little shifts bit by bit over time to create even more wins. Now, instead of that SMART goal and step by step plan that you probably won't end up doing, the last step to actually achieving your goals is to build confidence by running bite sized experiments. So, unlike goals, experiments center learning first. As a result, they take the pressure way off. Just like in seventh grade science class, to create an experiment, you start with a hypothesis. The if I do this, then I do this, or if I do this, then this will happen statement. But the key is you want to hold it lightly. You don't know if it's actually going to work, right? It's an experiment. And then you'll take action on it and note what happens. Whatever results you get become helpful learnings that then inform what you actually like. Did you actually like teaching yoga, for example? What works with your schedule? Oh, is it best if I work on my goal in the morning or at night? And also your capacity. How much can you actually get done when you carve out the time to do it? And from there, you can take all of that data and adapt your experiments and continue learning so that you're growing incrementally without that overwhelm or burnout. And the result is that you actually achieve your goals. Yay, which is the whole point. Without overwhelming your system, without ignoring all of your other responsibilities, or having to take a big scary leap like quitting your job before you're actually ready. And this is exactly what Hannah ended up doing. She went from teaching stretches at the end of her friend's class to then getting an invitation from another friend to teach a full class at a music festival. Amazing. Spoiler alert, it went incredibly well. She had this amazing dress to like step into her yoga teacher persona. So proud of her. And it was such a hit. And because of that, she gained even more confidence, right, to run her next experiment, which was to reach out to her workplace facilities manager and ask, hey, can I teach a regular class here for my coworkers? And the cool thing is that they said yes, and that she doesn't have to pay rent. Now, if your goals are still in the broad phase, or maybe they're more about how you want to feel like more fulfilled instead of a specific tangible outcome, you may be missing a key component to actually make this system work for you. You got to decide. You got to decide what goal or what project would actually help you feel the way you want to feel and create the life that you secretly want. And that's why I created my next video, which dives into 7 fulfilling side hustles or passion projects that you can start right now. Go ahead and click that video to watch, and I'll see you there.